one, go.
Good morning and welcome back to iProperty Radio live at the National Construction Summit here in Blanchardstown. And we're just starting on day 2. And today I'm so excited to be joined by Nick Haughton of Sapphire Balconies. And I think that if there is anybody across the construction industry who hadn't heard of Sapphire Balconies before this week, they will have definitely heard of them this week because Sapphire Balconies pulled what we think might be one of the most epic social media April Fools joke. So tell us a little bit about the campaign that you did this week, and for people, I'm definitely going to link to it in the show description notes. But for anybody who hasn't seen it, I definitely recommend going to Sapphire Balconies, their social media pages, just to take a look at the video. Talk us through it for people who are just listening in.
So April Fools for us has been something we've done each year for probably, I guess, 7-8 years. And it started off with a fairly minor idea. We thought we'd fly a drone and pretend that it was installing balconies. We mocked up this video before the days of AI.
Yeah.
And it went down so well that we continued it each year and rolling through. But what we like to do is make sure we've always got some element of truth, because we're a corporate brand, but we want to have fun on the days of the year when you can. So that's the sort of idea behind it.
Yeah.
So
talk people through the video, because it was just so brilliantly executed.
Yeah, so the video, I don't want to spoil everything in it if people haven't watched it, but we take a balcony into the air, or theoretically do, using a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
And we've had a few comments about it being complete hot air, which it is. But yeah, the in essence, it's showing off the balconies being lightweight. We follow the river theoretically down from Henley on Thames through into Reading, which is where our offices are based, obviously, and experience a few winds and a few other issues with balconies on the way through. And that's where the kind of some of the truths come in.
Well, I'm going to tell you how it was received in the moment, because one of our team saw it pop up on social media, did not make the connection that it was April Fool's Day, and said, "Oh my gosh, Sapphire Balconies are after flying a balcony using a hot air balloon." I was like, "What?" And they said, "Yeah, because it's such a lightweight balcony." And I think what's really funny about this is because there was an element of actually believability.
Yeah.
Because your balconies are lightweight, and that's what you said there, as in it only works because there's an element of truth.
Yeah.
So how did you land on this as a campaign?
So we wanted to start off the process by actually going through using something which is relevant and to the industry right now. So for this year, we thought AI has been a very big thing. Obviously, will continue to be, but we thought, let's do something using AI. So a lot of the graphics are actually created by AI, and elements of the audio as well in that process. But we played around with a few ideas, and there's obviously limitations with AI. I don't want to spoil what we might use for next year, because the technology is not there quite to create
Are you already
ideas.
planning for next year?
Yeah.
Yes, I can tell by your face.
We always get a flurry of ideas, but yeah.
That's fantastic.
The thing which we're really stuck with on this one, though, is naming. Like, if we ever installed a balcony with a hot air balloon, what is the method called? We call it glide on for where you're gliding a balcony on. We call it clip on for the clip on system, but is it float on or air on or?
One of the things that really struck me is, I have spoken to you previously, and I was surprised to learn the background and the history of Sapphire Balconies, because it's a relatively new name in Ireland, although you've probably been delivering on some of the largest projects over the last number of years. But because the business is so long established, I was surprised to know that it is still a family business. And I think when you talk about this April Fool's campaign and the fact that you're already planning for next year, that shows that's the family business side of it, isn't it, really? Because you can see the personality of the brand. So for anybody who's not familiar with Sapphire Balconies, maybe tell us a little bit about what it is that you do.
So we're a balcony company, as the name suggests, obviously. Our background in the last 32 years, or 33 years this year, of being established has been very much in the balustrading world. So we originally started working in Ireland when we had the contract for Primarks, doing balustrading. But we progressed when we got a patent on various technologies which sped up balconies. And our expertise, we realized the thing we could become best in the world at was balconies. And so we put 100% of our effort and energy behind that. We stopped doing other forms of metalwork and so on to focus on that. And that's why all our effort and energy goes into that. And the corporate piece, yes, we've become more corporate as a business. We've grown substantially. But we also don't want to lose that family culture-like aspect of who we are and our passion about customer service. High NPS scores are very key to us, but also behind that, making every person in the company feel like it's they're valued and that they're a person, not a number. But
that
also
can be
customers.
difficult in a family business, because certainly it's something we see across the construction industry in Ireland. We've actually moved away from the language of referring to, say, construction contractors as family businesses, because from an employer brand piece, we realised that across traditional construction contractors, that can read as, I'm never going to get to the top level.
Yeah.
And that can, so there can be a push-pull factor for people that might be attracted to working with a strong family business. So in terms of attracting new talent into the business, is that something that you feel at this stage of the journey to becoming the best in the world, is that something that is a help or a hindrance, do you think?
Great question. And I guess you could say it's both. Before you're well known in the marketplace, it is a limiting factor. We've got an office in Toronto now. We're building that momentum. We've been there 2 or 3 years, but people in the industry don't know us yet. But in the UK, we're the largest balcony company in Ireland, the same again. And what that does mean is when we start recruiting for roles, we will quite often get people from the competition apply, because they do see us as the aspirational brand to work for in that field of expertise. And that's a great privilege. We don't want to lose that by becoming too detached from our origins, if you like, and less family. So both.
But that's fair, and I'd imagine it's something that maybe evolves as well. You mentioned there the operation in Toronto. So how many countries would we see Sapphire Balconies appear in?
So the core markets we work in are UK, Ireland, and Canada. That's our focus areas, but we're also working as far away as New Zealand. We've got a licensee there in Levin, but we've won projects in other regions, US, for example. But at the moment, our focus is on kind of making sure that we're doing the best in those marketplaces. And there's some real strong headwinds in all those marketplaces. In Canada, they're coming across thermal brakes for the first time in the marketplace there, and the thermal performance of building is a big challenge. In Ireland, it's more the MMC and the labour and getting that piece in the solid supply chain right. In the UK, we've obviously got the BSR. So there's lots of work to be done in those marketplaces in helping the industry move forward the standards. And we're very glad to be involved directly with those conversations at high levels and building up better standards, if you like.
Well, because we're on site at the National Construction Summit, it is day 2, but there is still time to come down and join us in Blanchardstown. There's so much to see with over 200 exhibitor stands here. But because we're in Ireland, let's take a local focus here. So in terms of the operations, what is your operational capacity in Ireland?
So Ireland has been a market. We started coming in here during the early part of COVID. And now we've got the momentum going. We've actually set up our second factory on the island. The first one was up in Lisbon. The second one, and all this is through partnership relationships, because we realised that there's limiting factors when we had our own factory in Winchester, only one. You get this big swing between a peak of workload where it's really difficult getting competent labour, and the last thing you want to do is bring in people which don't have the competencies you need and downgrade the work. But then you get a big lull, and it's really difficult managing that factory. So we've moved to a model of partnering with companies. We've already set up one partnership in Waterford, and the second one, which we're looking at the moment. We're hoping to be rolling out in the not so distant future. So investing in Ireland is a big piece for us. We've also got a logistics partner and a site where we're storing balconies and goods in Swords, so fairly near the airport, which is for us quite a central location. But we're also finding that the Irish market needs the capacity we've got, the spare capacity we've got in the UK. So some of the projects are also made there depending on the skill set and requirements.
I suppose it's really interesting the growth trajectory that you had in the Irish market, having only entered in the early days of COVID. So you're talking about since 2020.
Yeah.
I think it's a big ambition to say, right, we're going to be the best in the world at balconies. To come to the Irish market already, we're one of the largest balcony provider.
Yeah.
So what does that tell us about the Irish marketplace and our relationship with balconies and as well our relationship with apartments?
Great question. I think when the biggest need, which was drawing us into the Irish marketplace, probably for work with consists of the UK, contain CISC. We do a lot with CISC in the UK. We do a lot with CISC in Ireland here as well. Bennett's is another one, and there was that natural pull on those. I think the very first project was actually Ballymore one at 8th Lock, and yeah, looks a great building. Always like driving past.
Ballymore would be considered one of the best, not just developers and home builders in the business, but best placemakers as well. Actually, they're really the standard that we want our development community to rise to in terms of general placemaking.
So, and that's exactly the people we like to work with, because we want to work with aspirational companies which are trying to achieve something aspirational for that site. They may have challenges with the immediate logistics. In the case of 8th Lock, it was more the way the structure was being done.
Yeah.
But if we can understand the aspiration, we can understand the challenges. Our expertise really is in being able to streamline that process for the balconies. And that's what we've become recognised for in the industry, and that's what we don't want to lose, that emphasis about streamlining the balcony journey and making it great for our clients, because anyone can put a balcony together, not well necessarily, but the expertise really is in helping those companies streamline that process so that you actually unlock the aspirations and the challenges. You don't end up with just a balcony which is a function but it isn't really delivering for the end users, or that process doesn't want to be painful all the way through the process either. It needs to be smooth and slick for the clients, and that's why I think we've grown quite quickly in Ireland.
And I would imagine as you continue to grow in Ireland, your supply chain is growing with you, so that process gets smoother and slicker.
Absolutely. And so our principle is always, we want to work with companies with a great culture in the supply chain, people we can partner with, we can work efficiently with. We roll out our quality methods and our control measures, so we're building up partners and we're applying that end-to-end quality management, if you like.
And I presume it helps if they have a sense of humour that they can contribute to your
Absolutely.
to what we now know is an annual April Fool's Day that takes a year to plan. I love that. Fantastic. Is this your first time exhibiting at the National Construction Summit?
It is, yeah.
In Ireland. How has the experience been?
So the booth has had quite a lot of traffic.
Fantastic.
Quite a few people trying to sell to us as well.
That happens.
I really enjoyed yesterday though. We're thankful Katie gave us the opportunity to moderate a panel.
Yeah, you were emceeing on the Modern Methods of Construction stage along with some of the MMC Ireland team. So tell me a little bit about kind of the experience of doing that. Did you know the panelists?
I knew one of them beforehand, but great to meet the other.
You're usually the panelist or the presenter, so was it interesting to kind of be the moderator in this case?
Yeah, so it's the first time I'm moderating in Ireland. I've done it in the UK a number of times, but the great thing, what I really enjoyed about that was that we got sustainability and innovation, obviously very passionate. Our mantra as a company is innovations prosper community, right? And the community is drawing an ESG bit.
Are the ESG director within Sapphire Balconies?
Correct. So it's naturally a great fit. MMC is what we are doing with our balcony system, but one of the great questions, and we'd debated out various different pieces, we'd identified and talked about embodied carbon, about the operational carbon. But Katie asked whether we wanted to ask a question at the end. So I thought it'd be good to just do it on the spot poll of the audience and where their thinking was.
So what, she turned it around. The audience weren't asking questions of the panelists were asking questions of the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Nice job.
Yeah, so Katie, all credit to Katie on that one, but it gave a good opportunity to do this instant poll. So we asked people to put their hands up if they thought embodied carbon was more important than operational carbon.
Interesting.
And then we asked to put their hands up if they thought operational carbon was. So we had, obviously some people didn't put their hands up at all. But my gut feel would be that embodied carbon is what people generally are talking about in terms of putting up buildings and so on, and the emphasis of a lot of requirements for funding and so on is more focused around embodied carbon. So I was expecting to see a good show of hands on embodied carbon, not so much perhaps on the operational carbon, but I was quite surprised it went the opposite way.
Well, I'm really glad it went the opposite way.
Yeah.
I think it should go the opposite way.
Yeah. The lifespan of the building is ultimately the key part. The kind of scores on the embodied the only time when you're building, whereas the operational carbon you can improve during the lifespan of the building, but the lifespan is a lot longer than the build process. So it was really good to hear there's a focus on that sort of that performance wise.
That is interesting, and one of the things that I've heard thrown out on so many panels over the last number of years is it's become a little bit of a talking point. That the most sustainable building is the one that's already built, but actually we still don't have the data to tell us that.
No.
So we still don't have the data to tell us actually if we leave a building that is there and it is brought to the level that it can be brought up to, what is its operational what its overall operational footprint compared to actually if we make the decision to perhaps have better land use along with a new building. So every time somebody says that particular line on one of my panels, I need them to qualify it, and it may well turn out to be the case, but I don't believe that we have the data at this stage on enough projects to say that. So
it's interesting. It only dawned on me yesterday in the panel discussion that one of the most low embodied carbon products is air.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious, right?
But you're absolutely right. But actually, that had never occurred to me too.
Yeah, I'm not meaning air and hot air balloons. I'm talking about
You do anything for the hot air balloon. I love it, Nick.
But the point being really was that where you could look at the pyramid of items, you could look at the top and go, all the metals are all really bad, design out all metal. But if you've got smaller bits of metal and lots of air between them, it's actually a lot more efficient as an overall product. And that the point was made by another panelist, but that was the first time it really dawned on me as a kind of, sometimes we get a bit blinkered about looking at the intensity per kg of the material, but if it's actually the system and the end result, which is what really makes a big difference.
Are you going back to talk to your design team when you get back to the UK?
We've been working on that principle anyway, but it's we've got something up our sleeve for a new product, a genuine product. Not an April Fool's Day.
Okay, a genuine, a real one.
Yeah, which will be for the Irish market, which will bring out a very, very low embodied carbon. And working on the
when
EPDs.
Should we be expecting an announcement about that?
It's a few months away yet. We're doing a whole bunch of testing, as you know, when we bring out a product. We've done a lot of structural testing in our labs in Reading anyway. We're going through high-growth thermal chamber testing. We're doing a whole bunch of other expensive stuff, which, the product looks good. Watch this space.
Looking forward to it. Nick, as I mentioned there, just before we wrap up, today, day 2 of the National Construction Summit here is just kicking off. You did all the heavy lifting yesterday, so what are you looking forward to today?
Great question. What I'd really like is to have lots of good conversations to understand where people's sentiment and thinking is. We presented on some of the truths behind the April Fool's Day actually came out in our presentation at the start yesterday. So wind mitigation is something we're seeing more of on balconies, challenges with wind, more automation of balconies, remote locking device, something which we've had a lot of conversations. I'm looking to get a bit more steer on that. Low carbon was another one of those key trends, and then maintaining the continuity of the fire barriers at key junction points where balconies are. So I'm interested to hearing more and learning more from the marketplace, because you can never learn too much, can you?
You know, and I'm really glad that you articulated like that, because actually, if you're coming to this type of event and you're only thinking about what you're going to say, you're not thinking about the questions you want to ask, the conversations you want to have, the listening you're going to do, you're missing half the opportunity. So yeah, I think that's a very good way to position it. Well, look, we won't take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for joining me today. And again, well done. For anybody not familiar with Sapphire Balconies or who hasn't seen that, I definitely recommend you go onto their social media channels straight away and take a look at that, and we'll certainly share a link to it.
If I can quickly just say,
no problem.
We're releasing the behind the scenes one on Friday.
So we'll actually get to go into the makings of it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We look forward to that. We'll definitely share a link to that. Nick, thank you so much. That was Nick Haughton, from the ESG director with Sapphire Balconies, and he will be on site today at the National Construction Summit. So make your way down and you can have a conversation with Nick and any of the Sapphire Balconies team. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. That's great.